Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gooey's Dungeon Dive, the mini podcast where I Gooey rank every dungeon in The Legend of Zelda. And now we are about halfway through our journey of the Adventure of Link as we make our way to the Maze Island Palace. And again, we've got another little bit of a journey to get there, a little bit of a quest. There's some towns we can go to, all this stuff. But I guess the main feature that actually connects with the palace here is we go to Maze Island, and there's a little bit of a maze you go through and fight some enemies and stuff. But importantly, there you find a child who has been kidnapped, and you must return back to its home in, I believe, the mountain town of Darunia, in which you get the Reflect spell, which you will need. It is required for the palace. I think someone tells you that. But you can actually go there without it and die if you so choose. Just another case in which it pays to pay attention to everybody, because holy cow. Into the actual palace itself, we got a large purple palace this time. Seeing new colors is always fun, but we got a slightly more complex dungeon. I like it. There's like 8 keys and doors to unlock and find all over the place. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting is, like, if you look at the map of it, like, if like the left half of the dungeon kind of is like a dungeon on its own, like you could go that way and explore fully, or you could go to the right half, and the left will lead to the boss, and you can kind of get there without going to the other half, while the right half leads to the key item, which is the boots. And I thought, that's kind of interesting, especially because you can beat the dungeon without the item, and then you'd have to go back. It would be cool. I think I'd like it more. I still like it a lot, but I think I would like it more if it was kind of like Medoro Palace, where you maybe needed the boots for a part, just to like integrate the complexity a little bit more. But even without that on its own, like, I find that the dungeon is fairly complex in certain aspects on its own. Like, it's almost like it's like one straightforward half and then one that's a bit more interesting, it's my favorite part of the dungeon, is on the eastern wing of it, where you have to go to get the boots. There's a section where you have to fall from a higher floor and land on a specific side of a room, and you can only access it by jumping from a higher level, which is kind of the first time we have that. Now, I wanted to mention before that this dungeon introduces, like, verticality to the series, but it kind of would go without saying, because it's like a side-scrolling platformer, right? And there wasn't really any meaningful way that, like, the different floors really interacted totally. Like, you never go down and come up another side or anything like that. So I didn't want to, like, give it credit where it wasn't due. But then you do have this puzzle here of falling from the higher floor to get to the part that can only be accessed that way. And it actually does kind of introduce that. So I think this might be kind of an early example of that. And so it's my favorite bit, and it really boosts this dungeon in my eye, because I think that was a really fun mechanic there, or whatever. So definitely points there from me. Like I said, the boots are the item. They don't really affect this dungeon at all. It's more for later. So they do make it so that getting back to the dungeon is easier, actually, because you won't have to go through, like, the maze island as much. You can, like, kind of walk on the water leading up to it. It's not, to me, still nothing has been quite as cool as the being able to break the blocks in Medoro Palace, But again, this game isn't as much about the items and their active use, unfortunately. With the enemies, I mean, I think our main theme of this palace might be just wizards in general, because, you know, we see a lot of the other same kind of enemies from the other dungeons, and it's a good mix in there. It's certainly all right. But we have a new, like, basic enemy, which is wizards. I guess they should have just called them wizrobes. I kind of hate the some of the naming disparities here, but I guess it's before they didn't really have names fully, I guess, did they? It probably came through a translation or something like that. But you got these wizards that kind of shoot beams at you, and you can reflect them with the reflect spell, which you'd need to defeat them, though you can kind of run past these guys. They're not like exciting to fight by any means, but they're kind of a cool visual. They're pretty scary looking. And yeah, I like them, but I like them even more because of the boss, Carrock, I think it is. It's like a, big old wizrobe looking guy. And again, you fight him the exact same way. It's really not that great of a boss fight. Thematically, again, I think it's kind of cool, but to me at least, it's not like, I don't know, it's not upsetting. It's just kind of like a bit of a letdown. But our bosses so far have been okay. A lot of them to me have been more carried on, more so the design. But yeah, I've really been torn on where to rank this, actually. Like, even coming up to this video, I've kind of flopped this around and everything, because I really like the navigation a lot. Comparing it to the Island Palace, at first I was like, it's still, to me, it does still feel like, a good progression from Island Palace. It's not as hard with the combat, I would say, but I think that's better. I would rather have it be a bit more navigationally complex. I think each dungeon has kind of done a good job of expanding upon that. See, coming into this, I was like, it's either above or below the Island Palace, because I do like the things that I mentioned in Island Palace. I like the boss, I like the theme, I like going outside. Obviously, I like the boots, or the block breaking in Medoro Palace. But I like the falling down bit here. That was really cool. I kind of want to see some of these things synthesized. I think that's what we'll get in later dungeons in Zelda. But I think for now I'm actually gonna keep Maze Island. I'm gonna put it above Island Palace, just because I think, again, just to represent that, I think this, for all this game's flaws, I think the progression through is actually pretty natural and satisfying. I think we're starting to push up against the edge of, like, seeing new enemies, because we really only got the wizrobes, or the wizards, or whatever. So I know in Great Palace we get a bunch of new ones, but I'm wondering, I guess we'll see what it's like in the following dungeons, if they can do anything new to impress me or something. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna stick with it. Adventure of Link, not the best, not top 5, but it's got a solid set of dungeons so far that I can't take away anything from. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe, of course. Tell all your Zelda friends about it. I think I'm going to try to, now I've shot through the first game and half of this game, and now I'm going to try to slow it down so I can have a more consistent schedule. Because, these sections aren't long to play, but I'm thinking forward. We're going to be playing longer games later, and I want to have time to, think about them and rank them. And so I'm going to be shooting to release these games weekly, maybe every Monday, I'm thinking. Let me know, though, because I've got a solid group of you who are always watching everyone and commenting. who I really appreciate. Let me know if there's a day you think would be better. But for now, that's going to be the plan, is Mondays. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next palace.